Welcome to the first ever online PANAM Live Cup brought to you by ZKC. This is our 9th of 9 sessions where we're having weightlifting still occur. Even with a problem with a pandemic around the world, we're still finding a way to get athletes to have the opportunity to lift. I'm your host, Richard Mason, here in Canada. This is organized by the Pan American Weightlifting Federation, but today, for the first time ever, we're having athletes not only from the Pan Am world, but also from around the globe: North America, South America, Central America, Caribbean, Asia, and Oceania, joining us in real time from their homes, from their training platforms, wherever they've got weights and a place to sit a camera, and we're welcoming them. We have athletes in 3 different weight categories here: the 102, the 109, and the 109 kilo category. Let's meet our athletes. Representing Uzbekistan in the 102 kilo category, Sobirov Farzodbak. Also in the 102 kilo category, from Chile, Ignacio Alvarez. In the 109 kilo category, representing Venezuela, Jesus Gonzalez. Also a 109 kilo athlete representing Cuba, Juan Colombi. Representing Uzbekistan in the 109 kilo category, Akbar Jurayev. And in the 109 kilo category, from Ecuador, David Arroyo. To the 109 plus kilo category, from Mexico, Raul Manriquez. And all the way from New Zealand in the 109 plus kilo category, David Leety. These are the athletes. We also, from around the world, we have our technical officials, our referees joining us from all corners of the globe, including representing Serbia, Milan Mihailovic. From New Zealand, Barbara Grieve. From Chinese Taipei, Mei Yi Wu. And from Dominican Republic, Maritza Ortiz. Our timekeeper, Bowen Stewart, from Australia, will also act as a backup referee, but only in the case of a technical failure with one of our regular referees. We also have our Spanish-speaking friend, Gustavo Malgor, joining us as helping me to explain to the Spanish language officials, for Spanish language athletes, the weights, and also for our Spanish-speaking audience. Thank you very much, Gustavo, senor. One thing you will notice is I haven't introduced you to our jury members. There's no jury. All of our 3 referees are seeing the lift from the same perspective, one camera, so there is no need for a jury. There will be no challenge cards, there will be no reversals, and that is just one of the things that makes this weightlifting meet different. What makes it the same is, as always, each lifter will, like usual, perform 3 attempts in the snatch, 3 attempts in the clean and jerk. As usual, the heaviest snatch is added to the heaviest successful clean and jerk to decide the athlete's total. The largest total wins. After that, it gets a little bit different. It's a fun experiment in competition in a time of social distancing and travel restrictions. Each lifter will set up a camera and perform their snatch or clean and jerk at their chosen location. But we're doing things in rounds. Just before each of 3 rounds starts in the snatch and in the clean and jerk, a 2-minute clock will begin. That's the opportunity for athletes to make their changes. Athletes weighed in approximately 2 hours before, and at that point, they entered a number in the snatch category and entered a number in the clean and jerk category. They'll have the final 2 minutes just before each of those rounds to make changes to those numbers. No changes will be accepted before that 2-minute clock, and no changes will be accepted after that 2-minute clock. Each athlete and his or her coach has 2 changes that they're allowed to make. Once all the first attempts are done, and we'll go through athlete by athlete in the snatch, first attempts, We'll go from lightest weight to heaviest weight. Then we'll do that 2-minute time period. And then we'll do the same thing in round 2. So each athlete will lift in rounds before we transition to their next attempt. Once all the first attempts are done, the 2-minute clock begins for seconds. The athlete attempts will be reordered. Once again, we'll go from lightest to heaviest weight in those next rounds. There will be a 10-minute break, as per usual, between the snatch and the clean and jerk. As we've noted, not all of the traditional rules are being utilized. Records set will not be accepted because not all the rules are in play, and athletes' totals cannot be used to qualify for other events. Some places I've been asked, what are the changes in the rules? Well, the lifting rules are the same, but there's a number of things like normally a technical official will attend the weigh-in. In this case, we're taking our lifters on a little bit of faith. Same thing with the weights. Sometimes it's harder to verify the exact weight on a little tiny screen. So again, we're trusting the athletes and their coaches to do right in this experiment, this first ever online competition. Just because not all of the rules in play, that doesn't mean that there won't be winners and losers here. Virtual gold, silver, and bronze medals will be awarded in the snatch, clean and jerk, and in the total. All participating athletes will be receiving a certificate. At the conclusion of the clean and jerk portion, we will have a virtual medal ceremony for the total, and each athlete that receives a medal place, bronze, silver, or gold, in the snatch, in the clean and jerk, and in the total will receive those medals in the mail at a later date. And all of the athletes will also be receiving certificates of participation. A little thank you for taking their time out of their training to participate in this experiment of international interactive online competition. This is an experiment brought to you by the Pan American Weightlifting Federation. The first online Pan Am Cup Live by ZKC is a development project, the brainchild of the Pan American Weightlifting Federation, in cooperation with the IWF, the International Weightlifting Federation, and help from the barbell manufacturer ZKC as a strategic partner. The goal here, we want to promote real, live, worldwide competition and participation from the athletes in a safe place for them to compete. The athlete gets to choose where they are going to set up the camera and compete, whether it's their home, their gym, some other venue. It's all up to them. Now, the modification period has expired. We're going to call our first athlete in our last session. Lifting in the 102 kilo category, a youth-aged athlete born in 2003, Ignacio Alvarez, 112 kilos, first attempt.
Primer intento para Ignacio Álvarez Cortés, representante de Chile, 120 kilos para él.
¡Ah, Nacho!
That is a good lift for our first attempt, 112 kilos, Alvarez, Chile.
Ejercicio válido para Álvarez en su primer intento con 112 kilos.
Our next weight as we progress in the first round of the snatch, is 130 kilos. We're heading to Cuba. First attempt, Juan Colombi.
Será el primer intento con 130 kilos para Juan Colombi de Cuba. Primera tentativa.
Next athlete, Gonzalez, Venezuela. That's a good lift for Colombi at 130 kilos.
Ejercicio válido para Colombi de Cuba con 130 kilos. El próximo levantador es Jesús González de Venezuela.
140 kilos on the bar, representing Venezuela. First attempt in the snatch in the 109 kilo category for Jesus Gonzalez. Gonzalez, Venezuela.
Pegadita la barra, mete la muñeca, pegadita. Listo. ¡Baja!
Good lift, Gonzalez, 140 kilos.
Ejercicio válido para González con 140 kilos de Venezuela.
We need more weight. Now let's go to 150 kilos and around the globe to Uzbekistan. In the 102 kilo class, first attempt, Sobirov Farzadbek.
Primer intento con 150 kilos para el representante de Uzbekistán, Sobirov Farzadbek.
No vamos a buscar ahora. Oye, si hubiese peleado. No, es que uno puede meterle.
Good lift for Farzadbek.
Ejercicio válido para este primer movimiento de Farzadbek de Uzbekistán con 150 kilos.
Staying with 150 kilos to Mexico, the 109 plus kilo athlete, Raul Manriquez. First attempt.
Primer intento también con la misma carga, 150 kilos, para Raúl Manríquez de México.
Arroyo, Ecuador next.
Próximo levantador, David Arroyo del Ecuador.
Good lift, Manriquez, Mexico.
Ejercicio válido para Raúl Manríquez de México.
155 kilos. This is the first attempt in the snatch for 109 kilo athlete David Arroyo, Ecuador.
155 kilos para el primer intento de David Arroyo de Ecuador.
Liti, New Zealand, next.
Próximo levantador, David Liti, de Nueva Zelanda.
A good lift for Arroyo.
Ejercicio válido para David Arroyo con 155 kilos.
160 kilos now. We're headed to New Zealand. David Liti, New Zealand. This is his first attempt in the snatch.
Primer intento para David Liti de Nueva Zelanda, 160 kilos. El próximo levantador será Drujaev de Uzbekistán.
Liti's lift is a good lift at 160 kilos. Good lift.
Ejercicio válido para David Liti de Nueva Zelanda.
170 kilos is the number requested for our final attempt in the first round of the snatch. Akbar Jurayev, Uzbekistan.
Primera tentativa con 170 kilos para Akbar Jurayev de Uzbekistán.
And a good lift for Jurayev at 170 kilos.
Ejercicio válido también para Jurayev de Uzbekistán.
Now, as we explained earlier, there is a 2-minute break. Changes are now being accepted by the back room for all of these athletes to try and make their changes. Now, we will look at our screen and you can see right now on the scoreboard that it's talking about a new record, We'll touch on that in a few seconds. But 112 kilos was the first good lift in this session from Chile's Ignacio Alvarez. He was followed in the 102 plus kilo or 102 kilo category by Sobirov Farzodbek of Uzbekistan. He made 150 kilos. They are Farzodbek and then Alvarez in first and second place. Moving down now to the 109 kilo category, the four athletes there, the best lift was Uzbekistan's Jurayev, 170 kilos, followed by the 155 kilos from Arroyo of Ecuador. With 140 kilos, Jesus Gonzalez of Venezuela is currently in third position. And in fourth spot right now is Cuba's Juan Colombi. Now, in the 109 plus kilo category, two athletes, Mexico's Raul Manriquez opened with 150 kilos. He was successful, as was David Leety, with a 160 kilo snatch. All 8 athletes in the first round made all 8 lifts. The changes are now coming in for our second round. The athletes still have 30 seconds before they have to stop making those changes and get ready to lift whatever their coaches or themselves have chosen to put on the bar. Good opportunity for us to thank our referees once again for joining us. Milan Mihailovic from Serbia, Barbara Grieve taking time in New Zealand, Mei Yi Wu from Chinese Taipei, and Maritza Ortiz, Dominican Republic. Thank you very much for your time and your dedication to the sport. The modification period has now expired. Changes are now closed. We'll take our first athlete in the second round of the snatch, requesting 117 kilos. Ignacio Alvarez. This is his second attempt in the snatch from Chile.
Comienza la segunda ronda de la modalidad del arranque y el primer intento es para Ignacio Álvarez Cortés de Chile.
Good lift for Alvarez, 117 kilos.
Ejercicio válido para Ignacio Álvarez Cortés con 117 kilos.
Our next weight is 135 kilos. We'll call for the second attempt in the snatch from Cuba, Juan Colombi.
El segundo intento será para Juan Colombi de Cuba con 135 kilos.
He'll be followed by Gonzalez, Venezuela, at a heavier weight.
Próximo levantador, González de Venezuela.
Good lift for Colombi of Cuba.
Ejercicio válido para Colombi de Venezuela, de Cuba, perdón. Próximo levantador, Jesús González de Venezuela.
That is correct. Next lifter, Jesus Gonzalez, 150 kilos. This is his second attempt in the snatch. Gonzalez.
150 kilos para el segundo intento de José González de Venezuela.
Farzodbek, Uzbekistan next. Good lift, Gonzalez, 150 kilos.
150 kilos válidos para Jesús González de Venezuela.
We're moving up 10 kilos to 160 kilos. Representing Uzbekistan, Sobirov Farzodbek.
Representa a Uzbekistán 160 kilos para Sobirov Farzodbek.
Arroyo next.
David Arroyo será el próximo levantador de Ecuador.
That's a good lift for Farzadbek, Uzbekistan, 160 kilos.
Ejercicio válido para Sobirov Farzadbek de Uzbekistán.
Still with 160 kilos, Ecuador's David Arroyo.
160 kilos, continuamos con la misma carga. Ahora para David Arroyo del Ecuador, segundo intento.
His second attempt, he'll be followed in lifting order by Manriquez, Mexico, at a heavier weight.
Próximo levantador, estar dispuesto Raúl Manríquez de México.
No lift for Arroyo of Ecuador.
Intento nulo, esta segunda posibilidad de David Arroyo del Ecuador con 160 kilos.
165 kilos now the weight. In the snatch, second attempt, Raúl Manríquez, Mexico.
165 kilos para el segundo intento de Raúl Manríquez de México. Segunda tentativa para él.
Liti, New Zealand, next, same weight. Mm. 30 seconds. Manríquez.
30 segundos para Manríquez.
Arriba.
No lift, Manríquez.
Intento nulo para Manríquez.
Staying with 165 kilos. New Zealand now. David Liti. This is his second attempt in the snatch.
Segundo intento de David Liti de Nueva Zelanda, 165 kilos.
$30 seconds. Liti.
Restan 30 segundos para David Liti.
No lift at 165 kilos for Liti of New Zealand.
Intento nulo para David Liti de Nueva Zelanda en este segundo intento.
180 kilos, final attempt in round 2 of the snatch, Uzbekistan, Akbar Jurayev.
Último intento de arranque con 180 kilos para Akbar Duraev de Uzbekistán.
A good lift for Jurayev.
Ejercicio válido para Duraev de Uzbekistán.
Once again, we're entering into our 2-minute drill. The 2-minute modification period allowed for the athletes. We had a little more red on that round than the previous one. We had success with 5 out of 8 attempts. Let's start now with the 102 kilo category. A good lift for Chile's Ignacio Alvarez at 117 kilos. He was followed by Farzadbek of Uzbekistan with a good lift at 160 kilos. Also 3 out of 4 good lifts in the snatch round 2 for the 109 kilo athletes. A good lift at 135 for Juan Colombi of Cuba. 150 was good for Venezuela's Jesus Gonzalez, and 180 was also successful for Akbar Jurayev of Uzbekistan. But David Arroyo of Ecuador could not put 160 kilos in place over his head. In the 109 plus kilo category, neither of our athletes could handle 165 kilos. Raul Manriquez of Mexico and David Leety of New Zealand were both missing on 165 kilos. You may have noticed that the new record keeps popping up occasionally on the screen. It is not a new record, even if the athlete is successful here, because not all of the rules that should be in place are in place. We've had to make some concessions to try and have a weightlifting meet in these times of social distancing and no international travel. So the record is not possible at this meet. No world records can be set, and the athletes cannot use the total that they achieve in this first ever online Pan Am Cup Live to qualify for subsequent events. There will still be real weightlifting meets in real places with all sorts of people, but we're not at that point yet. So this is our bridge to that place. We have now expired our changes. The modification period is over. We're going to ask for a modification of the scoreboard so that we can see the third column in the snatch. The athlete that we're going to call is Ignacio. The weight is 120 kilos. 120 kilos for Ignacio Alvarez of Chile.
120 kilos para el tercer y último intento de Ignacio Álvarez de Chile.
Vamos. Nacho. Todo eso, vamos.
That is a good lift, 120 kilos for Ignacio Alvarez.
120 kilos válidos para Ignacio Álvarez, fallo dividido, 2 luces blancas, 1 luz roja, mayoría de luces, ejercicio válido.
We need more weight now, 140 kilos for Cuba and Juan Colombi. This is his third attempt in the snatch.
Tercer y último intento para Juan Colombi de Cuba con 140 kilos.
Gonzalez, Venezuela, be prepared.
El próximo levantador, González de Venezuela.
Good lift for Colombi of Cuba, 140 kilos.
140 kilos válidos para Juan Colombi de Cuba.
Now we need 156 kilos for Venezuela and Jesus Gonzalez.
Último intento para Jesús González de Venezuela, 156 kilos.
Oración completa.
Arroyo, Ecuador, be ready.
Estar prevenido, David Arroyo del Ecuador.
High five from the coach. Good lift from the referees. 156 kilos for Gonzalez.
Ejercicio válido, los 156 kilos para Jesús González de Venezuela.
161 kilos now being requested by David Arroyo, Ecuador, third attempt in the snatch.
Tercer y último intento para David Arroyo del Ecuador en la modalidad del arranque.
Farzadbek, Uzbekistan next.
Farzadbek de Uzbekistán será el próximo levantador.
That's a good lift for David Arroyo of Ecuador, 161 kilos.
161 kilos válidos para el tercer y último intento de David Arroyo Valdés, perdón. Próximo levantador, Farzadbek Sobirov de Uzbekistán.
Heading to the top of the scoreboard for a 102 kilo athlete. Sobirov Farzadbek, 165 kilos, third attempt. Good lift, Farzadbek.
Ejercicio válido para Sobirov Farzadbek de Uzbekistán.
Same weight, 165 kilos. The athlete in New Zealand, third attempt, David Liti.
La misma carga, 165 kilos para David Lite de Nueva Zelanda. Tercer y último intento.
Manriquez, Mexico next.
Próximo levantador, Manríquez de México.
No lift, Liti, 165 kilos.
Intento nulo para David Liti con 165 kilos.
170 kilos now, being requested by Raúl Manriquez, Mexico, for his final attempt.
Tercer y último intento para Raúl Manríquez de México con 170 kilos.
Jurayev, Uzbekistan next.
Akbar Jurayev de Uzbekistán será el próximo levantador.
No lift, Manriquez at 170 kilos.
Intento nulo para Manríquez con 170 kilos.
Our final attempt in the snatch portion of this session goes to Akbar Jurayev, Uzbekistan, 190 kilos, third attempt.
Tercer y último intento para Akbar Jurayev de Uzbekistán, 190 kilos.
That's a good lift for Jurayev.
Ejercicio válido para Akbar Jurayev, 190 kilos de arranque.
That concludes the snatch portion of the 102, 109, and 109 plus kilo categories. We have the clean and jerk coming up in about 10 minutes time. Let's do a quick recap of where we're at. In the 102 kilo category, 165 kilos made on his final attempt puts Farzadbek in the lead over Chile's Ignacio Alvarez, who has 120 kilos to his credit. There are no missed lifts in the 102 kilo category snatch. We have only one missed lift in the 109 kilo category snatch. That belonged to David Arroyo on his second attempt. But The standings as they stand, 190 kilos, the best lift of the session so far for Akbar Jurayev, puts him in first position in the 109 kilo category, followed by 161 kilos. That is credited to David Arroyo of Ecuador. 156 kilos was Jesus Gonzalez's best lift. That puts him in third position, just ahead of Juan Colombi of Cuba. Now, we have 2 for 6, 2 good lifts and 4 misses in the 109 plus kilo category. Raul Manriquez was successful at 150 on his first attempt. He trails by 10 kilos to New Zealand's David Leety, who was successful on 160 kilos on his first attempt. We are talking with our leaders in the sport in these time periods during the snatch and the clean and jerk, and we had the opportunity to talk with Reiko Chinen, the person who is running the Olympics for weightlifting in 2020, actually 2021 now, about the transition from a 2020 Olympics to a 2021 Olympics. Reiko Chinen now. I'd like to welcome Reiko Chinen with us here today, talking about what's happening with her day job. But before we get to her day job, I'd like to introduce just some of her credentials. She's an IWF Category 1 technical official. She's a proud member of the IWF Technical Committee. And her day job is she's the manager of weightlifting for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Reiko, thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you very much, Richard, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all who are listening to this. Thank you very much.
Wherever you are around the world. Now, tell me, you were brought on years and years and years ago to try and develop the weightlifting for the Olympics, and then everything came to a harsh stop. What was the first thing that crossed your mind when you heard that the Tokyo 2020 Olympics were being postponed?
Of course, COVID-19 programs, this is not the problem only in sport, but globally for everybody. And if we think about our sport, my first mind, not for us, not for the officials, not for the organizing committee, but for the athletes. And if I think about the athletes, I totally speechless because I feel a lot of emotion and sympathy, how tough days they are facing. It's not be able to compare with any of us.
Yeah, each one of these athletes has, with the new IWF qualification system, has worked very hard over an 18-month period to put results in the first, the second, and the third, and just get ready for this. And then this happens, and now they've got to start essentially from scratch, pretty much with a new qualification system that the IOC has just approved the other day. What is involved at your end? What do you have to do, because there's no blueprint for this. There's no other weightlifting manager that you can call from London or from Rio or from Beijing who has had to deal with a 1-year delay. What were the kinds of things that you had to deal with? Securing of equipment, securing a venue, making sure that your people will still be in place. What were the things you had to deal with?
Maybe I should explain about some background.
Please.
Sorry.
Please.
It was 24th of March of this year, the postponement was decided. It was the joint decision among the IOC and of course Tokyo 2020 and our government.
Yes.
Then since that, the IOC and Tokyo started discussion and formed the joint steering committee.
Okay.
There, a lot of policies are decided, and because postponement cost a lot, not only for us, also for the IOC. Maybe you read some news about that. Therefore, both parties decided to have some policy for simplify the games.
Okay.
And even before the postponement was decided, IOC started to encourage us to cut the budget. Because as you know, in the past, many cities wish to have the Olympic Games, and they are competing each other to be the Olympic Games. However, because the Olympic Games cost a lot, many cities are withdrawn or having a referendum and decided to withdraw, especially for the Winter Olympic Games. So the IOC started to set up a kind of policy. It's Agenda 2020, they said. A part of that, this kind of policy was made. So even before the postponement, we needed to think over how to lose the budget for Olympic Games. This is maybe for Tokyo, but for me, this is for Olympic movement.
Yes.
So then after that, those parties, I mean the IOC and the Tokyo 2020, decided to simplify the Olympic Games to lose the cost.
Now, how will that simplification be manifest in, will somebody sitting in the stands at the Tokyo International Forum watching weightlifting, if they sat in the stands in London, if they sat in the stands in Rio, will they see a difference? Or is it all just behind the scenes?
About that, IOC is requesting us nothing to be changed for the athletes, because the most important is the athletes, and they respect the field for the athletes to shine.
Perfect.
And also the IOC, together with athletes, they are respecting how the OBS, Olympic Broadcasting Services, is shooting.
Yep.
So the look of the games will be same on TV, but for the city, maybe some banners will be less, like that.
Okay.
And the sport equipment is, of course, necessary things for us, so no change.
Okay.
No change for athletes, no change for the technical officials, but some of the employees need to leave the Tokyo 2020. Maybe the games times they will come back,
okay.
But currently number of the employees a little bit less than expected.
Okay, we're almost running out of time. What has been the biggest challenge? If you could just name one challenge that you've had to face because of this transition, because of this change of dates, has it been? I don't know what it is. What is the biggest challenge you faced because of this change of games?
Okay, the biggest challenge for me is people, especially for some volunteers, and also some national technical officials, such as loaders. Mm-hmm. Some of them are fourth grade of university currently. So they are graduating. We are searching currently who can continue and who cannot continue. And of course, in this current pandemic situation, they themselves do not know their near future 1 year later. They are trying to find some job who is understandable for Olympic Games, but who knows? So this is my biggest challenge.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us, Reiko. Best of luck with Tokyo 2020, and we appreciate all your help.
Thank you very much.
"143 kilos is ready on the bar. we have our athlete, Ignacio Alvarez of Chile, ready to lift and start the clean and jerk portion of this session. Ignacio Alvarez, 143 kilos, attempt number 1.
Esta es la primera tentativa con 143 kilos para el atleta Ignacio Álvarez Cortés de Chile. Primer intento en la modalidad del envión para el atleta representante de Chile. Ya está corriendo su tiempo.
Colombia, Cuba, next.
El próximo levantador será Juan Colombi de Cuba.
30 segundos.
30 segundos.
Me quedan 30 segundos todavía en eso.
20 seconds now for Ignacio.
Vamos, vamos, vamos.
De 1,5. No, el de 1,5. Vamos.
Vamos.
Páralo. Justo.
Oh.
Empuja.
Empuja.
Majority says good lift for Ignacio, good lift.
Para Ignacio Álvarez, perdón, ejercicio válido. Mayoría de luces blancas. 2 luces blancas, una luz roja, ejercicio legítimo para el representante chileno.
We now moving to 160 kilos. Juan Colombi, Cuba. This is his first attempt in the clean and jerk.
Primer intento para el envión de Juan Colombi de Cuba, 160 kilos.
Arroyo, Ecuador, next.
Próximo levantador, David Arroyo del Ecuador.
A good lift for Juan Colombi of Cuba, 160 kilos.
Ejercicio válido, los 160 kilos para Juan Colombi de Cuba.
Now, 175 kilos requested. David Arroyo, Ecuador. This is his first attempt in the clean and jerk.
Primer intento para David Arroyo del Ecuador, 175 kilos.
Farzadbek, Uzbekistan, next.
Farzadbek de Uzbekistán será el próximo levantador.
Good lift, Arroyo, 175 kilos.
Ejercicio válido para David Arroyo con 175 kilos.
Now we need 180 kilos. 180 kilos for the athlete from Uzbekistan in the 102 kilo category, Sobirov Farzadbek.
Primer intento de Sobirov Farzadbek de Uzbekistán.
Three white lights, good lift, Farzadbek.
Ejercicio válido para Farzadbek de Uzbekistán con 180 kilos.
We're moving up by 1 kilo now to 181 kilos. We're moving up a weight class to the 109 kilo category. Jesus Gonzalez, Venezuela, 181 kilos, first attempt.
Se carga la barra con 1 kilo más, 181 kilos para el primer intento de Jesús González de Venezuela.
Listo. Derecho. Aguanta. Va.
Majority says good lift for Gonzalez. Good lift.
Mayoría de luces blancas, 2 blancas, 1 roja, ejercicio válido para Jesús González de Venezuela.
We need 190 kilos now. Our first attempt in the clean and jerk from one of our 109 plus kilo athletes, Raúl Manriquez, 190 kilos, first attempt.
Primer intento para Raúl Manríquez de México con 190 kilos. Primera tentativa.
¿Se ve? No sale, aquí no me sale, ahí está ya.
Ya, vale. Vamos, ¿quién le pasó los codos? Vamos, pierna, es con pierna, vamos. Duro.
A good lift for Manriquez at 190 kilos.
Primer intento válido para Manríquez con 190 kilos, el representante de México.
Time now for the other athlete in the 109 plus kilo category, 205 kilos in the bar, representing New Zealand. First attempt in the clean and jerk, David Liti.
Primera tentativa para David Liti de Nueva Zelanda con 205 kilos.
Good lift, Liti, 205 kilos.
Ejercicio válido para David Liti de Nueva Zelanda con 205 kilos en este su primer intento en el ejercicio del M+109.
The final first attempt belongs to Akbar Jurayev, 210 kilos. This from Uzbekistan.
Primer intento para Akbar Duraev de Uzbekistán, 210 kilos.
Good lift, Jurayev, 210 kilos.
Ejercicio válido para Duraev, 210 kilos, y este fue el último intento de los número 1 de la modalidad del M+109.
The athletes are now allowed to make any changes that they have to make for their next attempt, the second round of the clean and jerk. Let's take a look at what has happened in the first round and how it's affecting the total and the like. Farzadbek of Uzbekistan made 180 kilos. He's got a significant lead in the 102 kilo category over Ignacio Alvarez of Chile, the youth-aged athlete, with a 143 kilo clean and jerk. That lead holds up as well in the total, 345 for Farzadbek and 263 kilos for Ignacio Alvarez. When we look at the clean and jerk now for the 109 kilo athletes, a 210 for Jurayev gives him a significant lead in not only the clean and jerk, but also in the total. He currently has 190 and 210 for a 400 kilo total, and he still has 2 lifts to come. The next athlete in the clean and jerk is Jesus Gonzalez with 181. Add that to his 156, and he's currently in second place as well, 337. But just 1 kilo away. In the total is David Arroyo of Ecuador. He made 175, which was 6 kilos left, but he had a 5 kilo lead carried over from the snatch. He's at 336 kilos. The fourth athlete from Cuba is Juan Colombi. And the 109 plus kilo category, both athletes making their first attempt, 205 for Liti, 190 for Manriquez. Liti has a 25 kilo lead when it comes to the total, with a 365 above Manriquez 340 kilos. Virtual gold, silver, and bronze medals will be awarded in the snatch, clean and jerk, and in the total. All participating athletes in this competition will receive a certificate thanking them for their hard work. And our time period has collapsed. We no longer have time in the modification period, so we're going to call our first athlete. In the 102 kilo category, the youth age lifter, Ignacio Alvarez, 147 kilos for his second clean and jerk.
Segundo intento con 147 kilos para Ignacio Álvarez Cortés de Chile. Segunda tentativa en este ejercicio del envión para el representante chileno.
Colombia, Cuba, next.
Próximo levantador, Juan Colombi de Cuba.
Vamos, vamos. Arriba. Juan, empuja.
No lift for Ignacio Alvarez at 147 kilos.
Intento nulo para este segundo intento con 147 kilos de Ignacio Álvarez de Chile.
165 kilos being requested now for Juan Colombi of Cuba for his second attempt.
Segundo intento para Juan Colombi de Cuba con 165 kilos.
Arroyo, Ecuador, next at a heavier weight.
Próximo levantador, David Arroyo del Ecuador.
Good lift for Colombia of Cuba, 165 kilos.
Ejercicio válido para el representante de Cuba, Juan Colombi.
Next lifter is David Arroyo of Ecuador with 181 kilos in this, the second round of the clean and jerk.
El segundo intento será para David Arroyo con 181 kilos, el representante del Ecuador.
Farzadbek, Uzbekistan next.
Próximo levantador, Farzadbek de Uzbekistán.
No lift for Arroyo, no lift.
Ejercicio nulo para David Arroyo con 181 kilos.
We need weight now of 190 kilos for Farzadbek of Uzbekistan. Sobirov Farzadbek, second attempt in the clean and jerk, 190 kilos.
190 kilos para el segundo intento de Sobirov Farzadbek de Uzbekistán.
To follow, Gonzalez.
Próximo levantador, Jesús González de Venezuela.
Good lift, Farzadbek, 190 kilos.
Ejercicio válido, los 190 kilos de Sobirov Farzadbek de Uzbekistán.
Now, 191 kilos. Jesus Gonzalez, second attempt, representing Venezuela.
Segundo intento con 191 kilos para Jesús González de Venezuela.
Vamos. No, papá. Este es bueno, uno solo más, como el sur. Vamos. Venga, venga.
Tranquilito. Agresivo. A ver. Mira, aquí qué pasó, abriste más de este lado.
No lift for Gonzalez, no lift, 191 kilos.
Ejercicio nulo, esta segunda tentativa de Jesús González con 191 kilos.
Now, 190, correction. Now, 200 kilos on the bar. Raul Manriquez, Mexico. Manriquez, 200 kilos. This is his second attempt.
Segundo intento para Raúl Manríquez de México con 200 kilos.
Ahí está. ¿Ya paraste, profe?
Sí, ya.
¡Six!
Vamos. Con pierna, juega con pierna, vamos. Fuerte.
Venga.
A majority decision, good lift, Manriquez.
Por decisión de la mayoría, 2 luces blancas, 1 luz roja, el ejercicio de Raúl Manríquez es válido.
215 kilos. Representing New Zealand, second attempt in the clean and jerk, David Leety.
Representa a Nueva Zelanda, se llama David Leety y va a intentar 215 kilos.
Mundo ciego.
Good lift for Leety, 215 kilos.
Ejercicio válido para David Leety de Nueva Zelanda con 215 kilos.
220 kilos being requested for the final attempt in round 2 of the clean and jerk. Representing Uzbekistan, Akbar Jurayev.
Segundo intento para cerrar esta segunda ronda. El atleta de Uzbekistán, Akbar Jurayev, 220 kilos.
Majority says good lift for Jurayev at 220 kilos.
Ejercicio válido nuevamente por mayoría de luces, 2 blancas, 1 roja, 220 kilos válidos para el representante de Uzbekistán, cerrando esta segunda ronda del ejercicio del envión.
Once again, the modification period has begun, the 2-minute break between the rounds in the clean and jerk. Let's recap, just see what has happened so far. With the 102 kilo athletes, we had only one successful lift that last round with 190 kilos, adding to Farzadbek's lead. He now has 355 kilos as a total. As Ignacio Alvarez didn't add any to his, he remains at 263 kilos for his total. In the 109 kilo class, the class of the field still is with 410 kilos as his total, and a 220 clean and jerk in round number 2. Akbar Jurayev. We had fails for both Jesus Gonzalez at 191 kilos and David Arroyo at 181 kilos, neither of them adding to their total. Those two athletes are just 1 kilo apart heading into the final round. Also in that class, of course, is Juan Colombi of Cuba. He's working on a 5-for-5 performance with 1 lift to go. In the 109 plus kilo category, Raul Manriquez, 200 kilos successfully hoisted over his head. That brings him to 150 in the snatch, 200 in the clean and jerk, a 350 kilo total. But he trails David Leety, who was successful with 160 in the snatch and then just performed 215 kilos as his clean and jerk for a 375 kilo total. We'd like to once again thank our sponsor for this tournament. The first online Pan Am Cup Live would not be possible without the very generous assistance from barbell manufacturer ZKC or ZKC, depending on how you pronounce it. We very much appreciate their assistance as a strategic partner making this event happen. You will note on the scoreboard that declining his final attempt is Akbar Jurayev. He will stay with 190 and 220 as his clean and jerks for a 410 total. He will not be back out. We're ready now. 150 kilos on the bar for Ignacio Alvarez in Chile. This is his final attempt.
150 kilos para el tercer y último intento de Ignacio Álvarez Cortés de Chile.
Vamos.
Colombia, Cuba next.
Próximo levantador, Juan Colombi de Cuba.
Arriba. Empuja.
Majority says good lift for Ignacio Alvarez at 150 kilos, and he's celebrating in Chile.
Mientras celebra Ignacio Álvarez Cortés su tercer y último intento válido, por mayoría de luces blancas, 2 luces blancas, una luz roja, válido los 150 kilos para cerrar su actuación del atleta chileno Ignacio Álvarez Cortés.
176 kilos now for Juan Colombi of Cuba. This is his final attempt in the clean and jerk.
Último intento para el representante cubano con 176 kilos, Juan Colombi.
That is a good lift for Juan Colombi of Cuba, 176 kilos.
176 kilos válidos para cerrar su actuación el atleta cubano que realizó los 6 intentos válidos, los 3 arranques y los 3 enviones, todos válidos.
181 kilos for David Arroyo. That's the automatic increase after his failed lift at 181 kilos on his second attempt. Third attempt, Arroyo, 181 kilos. This is the end of the clean and jerk for Arroyo.
Está corriendo el tiempo para David Arroyo en su tercer y último intento con 181 kilos para este representante del Ecuador.
Arroyo is set to be followed by Jesus Gonzalez of Venezuela at a heavier weight.
Próximo levantador, Jesús González de Venezuela, que ha solicitado 191 kilos.
.30 seconds, Arroyo.
Le restan 30 segundos para David Arroyo en su último intento, con 181 kilos. time.
No lift from Arroyo in the 1 minute time period. That is a no lift from the referee's 181 kilos.
Intento nulo para David Arroyo porque ha concluido el tiempo de 1 minuto que tenía para realizar este movimiento.
191 kilos being requested by Jesus Gonzalez. This will be his third attempt in the clean and jerk from Venezuela.
191 kilos para el tercer y último intento de Jesús González de Venezuela.
Eso, ¿eh? Listo.
Arriba, arriba. Listo.
Good lift, Gonzalez, 191 kilos.
Ejercicio válido para González con 191 kilos. Tercer y último intento.
195 kilos now being placed on the bar in Uzbekistan for Sobirov Farzodbek. This is his final attempt in the clean and jerk.
Último intento para Sobirov Farzodbek de Uzbekistán con 195 kilos.
No lift for Farzodbek, 195 kilos.
Intento nulo esta tercera y última posibilidad de Farzodbek de Uzbekistán.
2 athletes remaining, 2 lifts left, both in the plus 109 kilo category. Raul Manriquez, 210 kilos, third attempt in the clean and jerk.
Tercer y último intento para Raúl Manríquez de México con 210 kilos.
Liti next.
Próximo levantador, David Liti de Nueva Zelanda.
Sí, güey. Sí, güey.
Vamos, vamos, quédate bien. Completo. Pasa los codos.
No lift for Manriquez at 210 kilos.
Intento nulo para Raúl Manríquez con el último intento de 210 kilos.
Final attempt, 220 kilos. Representing New Zealand, third attempt of David Liti.
Representa a Nueva Zelanda David Liti, tercer y último intento, 220 kilos.
No lift for Liti at 220 kilos on his final attempt.
Este fue el último intento, con intento nulo con 220 kilos que trató de elevar David Liti de Nueva Zelanda.
This concludes the lifting portion of the final session of the online PANAM Cup, live, brought to you by ZKC in the men's 102, 109, and 109 plus kilo categories. We've got our medal ceremony coming right up for you. It's a virtual medal ceremony, and we'll be awarding medals in the total only in the virtual medal ceremony. The real medals will still be mailed out. Starting with the men's 102 kilo class, representing Uzbekistan, the gold medalist Sobirov Farzodbek. The silver medal is going to Ignacio Alvarez of Chile.
En esta categoría masculina de 102 kilos de peso corporal límite, logra la medalla de oro Farzodbek Sobirov de Uzbekistán y se lleva la medalla de plata el representante de Chile, Ignacio Álvarez Cortés.
This session contained athletes who lifted in the 102, 109, and 109 plus kilo category. We're moving now to our online virtual medal ceremony for the men's 109 kilo category. Representing Uzbekistan, your gold medalist, Akbar Jurayev, silver medalist from Venezuela, Jesus Gonzalez, and your bronze medalist from Ecuador, David Arroyo.
En esta categoría, también masculina, de 109 kilos de peso corporal límite, consigue la medalla de oro Akbar Jurayev de Uzbekistán, se lleva la medalla de plata Jesús González de Venezuela y la medalla de bronce la obtiene David Arroyo del Ecuador.
Our final category in this was the men's plus 109 kilo category. We had 2 athletes. That means 2 medals in our virtual medal ceremony. Our gold medalist from New Zealand, David Leety. The silver medalist from Mexico, Raúl Manriquez.
En esta categoría máxima de más de 109 kilos, también masculina, obtiene la medalla de oro David Leety de Nueva Zelanda y la medalla de bronce la consigue Raúl Enrique Manríquez de México.
Thank you very much for taking the time to join us for this, the first ever online Pan Am Cup live by ZKC. A special thanks, we can't finish this without a special thanks to our athletes, our coaches, our referees, and most importantly, to the staff of the International Weightlifting Federation and the committees and the like from the Pan Am Weightlifting Federation. This would not be possible without all of your hard work. Thank you very much for helping us still participate in sport in these pandemic times. I'm Richard Mason, and I hope to see you again with a future competition just like this one. Take care.